everybody. This is Teryn, another episode of Tatter-a-fact at the Girlz Inc. studio in Las Vegas. And today I've got a local PMU artist. I invited Marsha Shaw down to hang out with me.
What an honor.
Yay.
Teryn Darling.
Marsha.
Oh, I've had that my whole life.
That's what, remember I said I'm going to make fun of your name a little bit?
Yeah.
That was it.
People have said it my whole life, so I'm going to say your name 3 times. I'm like, cool. It's going one ear out the other.
Do you know what that's from, Olivia?
The Brady. Oh, girl.
I know. Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch.
Come on, Marsha.
Oh, the Brady Bunch is
The
like
Brady
the best.
Bunch. Yeah, the Brady Bunch. Yeah, they're the best. But I think at this point they should stop, like, I don't know about the Christmas specials anymore and, all that stuff,
Some people don't get it.
It's like, right? So, yeah, Marsha Shaw. And this is our first time meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, we started kind of messaging a little bit, right, on Facebook. I don't remember the very first message, if you messaged me or I messaged you. I can't really remember. But didn't I compliment a brow or something a while back on Facebook? Something.
You did. You said something really nice, and you said it's great to have great brow artists out here, just artists. And it was such a compliment because you're like the OG of PMU, and coming from you, I was like, holy shit, she messaged me.
Oh, that's awfully sweet. Yeah, I was noticing your work. I'm really interested in PMU in general. I'm really interested in, artists, PMU artists, and especially if they're in Vegas. I really I'm proud to be in Vegas. I've been in Vegas 27 years. I love this town. I still call it a town. It was a town when I moved here, but it's kind of like a city now.
Where did you move from? Where are you
Maine.
from? Oh, okay.
All the way from Maine,
Wow.
right? So even back then, Vegas was big city.
Yeah.
For me. But when I started doing PMU in Vegas 21 years ago, there just wasn't. I was the youngest one. It was just. More older women doing it, doing one style. There just wasn't a lot of artists doing it. There wasn't a lot of diversity or anything like that. So, fast forward 21 years and look at the level of talent and skill we have just in Vegas alone, So I love that. And I wanted to start having more local artists come down on the podcast, hang out, and talk in PMU and, interesting topics and whatnot. So kind of was following you online, and you look bubbly and cute in your pictures.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I liked your work. And I thought you'd be fun to come down. And I was right, because we sat out there for an hour chit-chatting, and you're super bubbly, and you're cute, and you're funny.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, I'm like, okay, I picked a good one.
Yeah.
Right? So how long have you been in Vegas?
Too long.
Too
Just
long?
joking. I'm born and raised in the island of Guam. I moved out here when I was 17.
Okay.
I really didn't think I would come out here because the island was all I knew. I grew up there, and one day my mom was like, pack your bags, we're going to Vegas.
Right.
I'm like...
And you're in Vegas, but you taught me something out there. You're not called a Guamanian.
Yeah.
You're and that's probably what I would have thought, a Guamanian or a Guamster.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's so funny.
I know. But so what do people from Guam, how do they refer to themselves as?
So the main locals, it's called chamorro.
Chamorro.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So you taught me something new.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the culture of Hawaii and Samoa brought together. It's very islandy.
Very islandy.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid growing up in Maine, my aunt married a Coast Guard guy, and they were stationed in Guam.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so my 3 cousins and my aunt and uncle were over in Guam. I want to say like 6-7 years.
Cool.
Yeah. I never got to go over and visit. I mean, we couldn't afford to like, do anything like that back then, get on a plane or travel or whatnot. But that's how I first became familiar with Guam. My cousins lived there for like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And they loved it. Yeah.
It's amazing. Like when I grew up there, my friends would be like, what do you want to do today? I'm like, I don't know. Let's drive around the island. Because 2 hours you drive around the island and you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think that would get to me after a while. Did it get to you after a while? Like, what do they call it? Island fever?
Island fever.
Yeah.
And
that's a real thing.
It's a real thing, but honestly, I guess when I grew up there, like that's all I knew.
Right.
So I didn't really get the taste
nothing to compare it to.
America
Right,
when I came
right.
here.
Did you like America and Vegas? So did you go right from Guam to Vegas?
I did.
Did you like it right away, or did it take you a minute?
You know what? When I grew up in Guam, like I literally lived like 5 minutes away from the beach. I never went because it's right there, right?
Right.
So when I got here, where's the fucking beach? I have to drive to California.
Yeah, but it's only 4 hours. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like that bad, but it's cold. I thought, like, look, I grew up in the coast of Maine.
Okay.
Right, in that beach water, right?
Okay.
Right on the coast, lots of beaches.
Yeah.
And you think like San Diego water, or it's going to be like a whole lot warmer. And I was like so surprised that even California beaches, like the water's like kind of cold, not as cold as Maine.
Yeah.
I will give them that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like how you say water. Water.
Water.
Can you teach
me?
me?
Yeah.
Water.
Water.
Oh, cool.
All right. So you're in Vegas. So how long you been doing permanent makeup?
So I started doing PMU 2017.
2017. So my math is correct. What's that? 4 years?
Yes.
Almost 5?
Yes.
17, 18, 19. Yeah, about 4 years, right? Maybe pushing 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What were you doing before PMU?
So I was a cocktail server at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah. Well, I was a cocktail waitress.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, for like 10, 11 years.
How long?
Like 10 or 11 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So I ended my cocktail waitress career at TI, Treasure Island. I opened it.
Very cool.
And I was there for 6 years. And then that 6 years at Treasure Island, that was my final 6 years cocktailing. But I cocktailed like a lot of different places, in that 10, 11 year period. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that about me, that I was a cocktail waitress.
I'm so amazed. That's an amazing story.
Well, can you picture me in heels and a little dress and pantyhose and all that stuff?
Yeah. No, but yeah.
I hated it.
I haven't imagined it like mine, so but no.
Yeah, I did it. I did it, but but I had to learn to walk on heels because I've been a tomboy my whole life. So when I first put the heels on, my ankles were wobbly. I wasn't that good. But I got the hang of it, and for the most part, I thought it was pretty fun because I like people. I worked swing. You bring in drinks, you get tips. It's pretty good money, and you meet people from all over the world. The only time it wasn't fun for me, of course, when you get stiffed, right? That's never fun.
Dude,
when people
they're
don't
gonna
tip
be
you.
sober for like the whole night.
Yeah. Or really super drunk people.
Yeah.
Right. That could be like annoying. But did you find for the most part, like it was fun? Like you had a pretty good time doing it?
I did. I kind of like, now that I think about it, I cocktailed till my early 30s. So I started my early 20s to early mid 30s.
Okay.
So almost 10 years too, like you.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. It was great. I got to travel a little bit. I got to meet people with different personalities. And also this one time it kind of hit me where I said, I turned into my 30s and these younger hot 21-year-olds are coming in. So I'm like, I gotta go.
Right.
So that's where it kind of hit me. Like I need a career breaker,
That's kind of what happened to me. I worked with this cocktail waitress and her name was Charlie.
Okay.
And I'll never forget her. Are you familiar with the old series from back in the day, Gunsmoke? No? There was a character on there called Miss Kitty.
Okay.
And Charlie reminded me of Miss Kitty, very saloon type looking with red hair.
I love that.
She was so pretty, and her name was Miss Kitty. And Charlie reminded me of her. And Charlie was probably well into her 50s and cocktailing, and had been cocktailing her whole adult life, I think, since her 20s. And she would have really serious conversations with me about cocktailing's great, Teryn, it's a lot of fun, but honey, you know, my hips this, my arm that, my feet this, you know, find, you know, maybe you should, you know, find something, find a career, you know. She would really talk to me about that, and it started sticking with me. And so that's how I got into PMU. I just kind of wanted to find something creative and something that, you know, could kind of be my own, and I could like do the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So that was kind of you.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you because, you know, when you're at that age, right, your mentality, you hear people talking about, oh, their hips, their back, my knees. You're like, whatever. When you're in your 20s, it doesn't faze you.
Yeah.
And it finally hits you. But I'm glad she had that talk with you, because while you were still young, and you're still young, but at the same time, you have to think about what people want to do for a living. While you're still young, you're very trainable, because you're so vulnerable to all these things. And look where you're at now.
Yeah. I know. It ended up being the best thing. I did miss it at first, you know, I have to say, because there's some excitement. There's something, for me, coming from Maine, small town in Maine, there was something very exciting about being on the Strip, you know, swing shift at night, serving cocktails, and, you know, these glamorous hotels. It was exciting. You know, and then your first couple of years doing PMU, it's a struggle, and you're broke, and, you know, so there was a transition for me, but right away I knew PMU was for me. I just knew. I knew I had a good shot at being good at it if I really applied myself, and I was pretty darn sure that I was going to love it. Was that you? Did you take to PMU like immediately?
I did. Growing up, my mom, she would always okay, so this was like the early 90s, okay? So I'm kind of giving away my age here. She was early 90s. I'm watching her. She's doing her makeup. She used to be a singer back in Guam. So,
what kind of singer?
So she was a lounge singer, and I'm very proud because my mom can sing anything, and every time till this day she'll strum a guitar and she'll sing. And
can you sing?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
I won't make you sing.
Maybe later.
I won't make you sing. Next time you come on.
Okay.
I'll make you sing.
Okay, I'll practice my actions.
Okay. So your mom was a lounge singer?
Yeah, she was a lounge singer. And every night, so she would always get ready at 6 p.m.
Okay.
She had to be at work at 9. So she took a while to get ready. It's just like a transition phase. And I would watch her do her makeup. And for some reason, it struck in my head, like, what if I did that, but like, not that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it started there at a young age. And when I cocktailed, I work at the pool. So I'm like, oh my God, my brows are melting.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to make an impact on something.
Yeah.
I knew I was in love with the beauty industry. I didn't know what, but I kind of figured it out from there.
I didn't like, I got a few shifts working at the pool, and I didn't like it. Because it's all foo-foo drinks.
Yeah.
Like big trays of daiquiris and margaritas and all that stuff. And it was so hot. Right?
Yeah.
It was so hot. Yeah, I didn't really like dig the pool.
It's hot. The heat brings out the worst in you. It really does.
Yeah.
You know, not the heat, but Vegas dry, 117 degrees at the highest. This one time I was standing out there with my wedges. I had my bucket on my shoulder. I had about 18 drinks on my tray. And it's so hard because when you portray this image of you being a Vegas cocktail waitress, right? And this guy said to me, this really pissed me off. He said, "You need a smile." And I said, "It hurts."
It hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It does. You know, my wife, Kat, was a cocktail waitress for 16 years or so until she started, you know, working here at Girlz Inc. And she was at the Venetian. She went from opened the Bellagio, was at the Bellagio
That's awesome.
quite a few years,
Yeah.
and then went over and opened up the Venetian, and she ended her career at the Venetian. But yeah, I was already, you know, well into Girlz Inc. and doing my thing, but she would come home from work, and I mean, her hands would just kill her. She was my inspiration for actually opening up my own studio. I was in a salon, renting a little 100 square foot room in a salon for almost 13 years. I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I loved it. And I was
Yeah.
perfectly content.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get my wife, out of that situation because I know her feet was hurting, her hands. She had started to develop a little bit of arthritis.
Oh.
And it, just broke my heart. And, you start thinking, and I'm like, open up a studio. She can run the studio. You just start thinking all these things, where I could incorporate her into the business. And it ended up working out, fantastic. So,
That's
here we
amazing.
are, like all these years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're still in love.
That's
Even
how
after working
how
together.
long have you been together?
Like almost 17 years.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, she wants to kill me sometimes.
Oh,
but
no. That's amazing. 17 years?
Yeah, 17 years.
How did you meet?
We met, she had a circle of friends, I had a circle of friends, and we just kept crossing each other's paths a little bit. I think one day she flirted with me. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. And that's probably the beginning of our story. So it just happened and it was right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So are you into you have your own studio here in Vegas? You do?
I do. I just recently went solo.
Solo.
Solo,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you were with, so what kind of situation were you in for the last 3 years?
So I actually was with my mentor.
Oh, okay.
I did go to NEMA. I took this, I think it was a 3-4 day course. This was back in 2017. So I didn't know at the time that you had to apprentice under someone, right?
Oh, gotcha.
I thought 3-4 days, you can make all this money, be a PMU
Well, that's how
artist.
it's marketed.
Yes.
Right? That's how
Yes.
it's marketed.
Yes.
Is a day, 3 days, make,
Yeah.
all this money like it's so easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was a class-based setting, and I knew that I wanted to do one-on-one with someone. So she's amazing. I feel like for anyone who wants to become a PMU artist, you have to go with your instincts of who you want as a mentor. My mentor, she's a mom, a wife, and she owns her own business,
Yeah.
Microblading Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I trained with her, and everything she taught me,
So you stayed right there with her.
So I was one of her. This is so funny because she looked at me one day because I kept procrastinating, because I'm the type of person where I've always had 2 jobs at the same time. I was a liquor rep and I was also a bartender at the same time. I bartended for a little bit in between that. So she looked at me because she knew I picked up a bartender shift. So that's time away from my apprenticeship.
Right.
So she looked at me and she said, "Do you really want to do this?"
Yeah.
So that woke me up wow,
Yeah.
So I was one of her students that kind of transitioned a little slower, but I was one of her students that actually ended up running her chair after my apprentice. I worked side by side with my mentor for a good 2.5 years. And one day I said, I can't hold her hand forever.
Yeah.
So I flew away.
It's probably good she asked you that, because I probably would have asked the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a lot of apprentices come and go, not stay longer than 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Because my philosophy is, I'm trying to fill a studio with super talented artists. I think you got to be laser focused. You have to be obsessed. You have to, at least that's my philosophy. Not everybody might agree with me, but that's the way I grabbed, permanent makeup and learned and got to where I'm at. So I just kind of, so I probably would have asked you the same thing. That was probably the best question.
Yeah, it was
She could have asked you,
She
right?
didn't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
It was tough love. And she's like, "Why are you giving me your money?"
So you stayed on there working commission?
No, actually, it was just a chair rental. And
So you rented?
So So this is how I started. Okay, you're gonna make fun of me.
I might.
Okay. So when I first started, she said, "Okay, you can rent my chair out. You're done with your apprenticeship. I'm not gonna baby you anymore. You're renting my chair out. This is the price." And I was like, "Well, I know that there's a way to it where you start on working on people." I honestly didn't want to do my mom. My mom wanted her brows done right away, and then my sister, my cousins, and I knew I was a new artist coming in.
Right.
I didn't want to fuck up on their face the first time. So sorry, but so I didn't want to look at that. So this is how I advertised.
Well, some people do have. I saw this on Facebook maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like a newbie asking, should I book
yeah.
family and friends? Should I work on strangers? And there was a lot of different mixed opinions. Some people responded really super strong in their feeling that no, you should not work on family and friends because they make you nervous, or you have to see them in your daily, or blah 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 blah. And then some people on the flip side had the exact opposite opinion. No, you should definitely work on family and friends first, because there's a comfort level there. So
there's a comfort level, but at the same time, I'm going to look at their face for a long time.
For the rest of your life.
So I knew, but the thing is, I'm a perfectionist. I wanted to give my all, and I knew I wanted to do them later down the road.
Right.
So I went on Craigslist.
Yeah.
I knew at the time I wasn't experienced, so all right, I went on, the free site on Craigslist for free couch, free TV, free toaster. I put free eyebrows.
Yeah. Hey, but that's okay.
But it worked. I got people models that way. And from then I started raising up my prices till I got better. And the rest is now,
Yeah. No, I think whatever it takes to start, getting those models in. So if that worked, then good for you. I mean, I think that was smart, right? Because some way, somehow, newbies have to get models to come in.
Yeah, we all start
it's
from
hard.
somewhere. Yeah.
Because you don't have a portfolio to show, not really.
Right.
So I have an apprentice right now, Amy, and she just started charging, but like at a discount price.
Okay.
So she's done about 15, 20 brows, like free. And but now she's kind of in her zone. She's comfortable. Everything's healing good. So we launched her now as like a Girlz Inc. artist, but she's starting out with like a discount price because her portfolio is not big and she's still fairly new. So I think that's totally fine. I think it's a great way to start out and to build.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you got to have models, or you're not going to get good. I think it's really detrimental to like do an eyebrow and then you go 2 or 3 weeks and you don't have another one.
It's the most depressing phase ever when you don't work on skin.
Yeah, and you forget. I think you forget too fast, or you lose your mojo if there's too long of a wait.
Yeah.
So if it's free models you have to take, then it's free models you have to take for the moment.
Yes.
I just tell everybody, look, it's temporary. It's temporary. It's a temporary time in your early career that you're taking free models or discounting your price.
Yeah.
And the day will come where you will never, ever have to discount or do a freebie again if you don't want to. So
I gotta ask you, like, how are you, like, how I am with my pictures, right? Like, I'll be like, okay, when you're done, you see a beautiful work, right?
Yeah.
And you take all these pictures, and you can't stop taking pictures because you're so in love
of your own work.
Yeah. You have an Android, or you have an iPhone?
I have an Android. I have a Samsung.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
People make fun of me, but I love my Android.
No, I love it. I've been on a Samsung like forever.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I really like it. Yeah, sometimes you get like an eyeliner or an eyebrow, like you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Like, it's like, so, because we rate our own work, right? So sometimes I do an eyebrow, I'm like, yeah, that was good. That came out really good. I like it. And then sometimes I get an eyebrow, I'm like, oh my God, that is so good. I can't believe I'm this good. This is so good.
Yeah.
And then you'll get an eyebrow like, what the hell did I do that?
Yeah.
It's
You're probably hungry or something.
Yeah, I was probably hungry but I think all artists, no matter what level you get, we do that to ourselves. Like we rank our own work. So you're saying when you do something really good, you just can't stop taking pictures.
Yeah. I'm like, one more time, take a picture.
Yeah.
But then they'll get so tired, like, oh my God, how many pictures have you taken? I'll be like, you look so beautiful. And they'll be like, posing.
I tell my apprentices in here, take 10, 15 pictures, different angles, because out of those 10 or 15 pictures you might get 2 or 3 that actually came out really good and reflects how good that looks, right,
absolutely.
in person.
Yes,
because I think most times if the brow looks really, really good, that doesn't show in a picture. It doesn't show how good it looks in person in a picture.
Yes.
So take a lot of pictures.
Okay.
And then pick and then like I think you get really lucky. You get 1 or 2, you're like, man, that picture came out so good. So if you're somebody only taking 2 or 3 pictures, you're probably going to be shit out of luck, right?
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Take a lot of pictures, change the angles.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Do you filter your pictures?
So I like to, here's the thing, like, like how I was before this. I was fixing my hair.
Yeah.
Right?
You couldn't decide how you wanted to look.
I was
on
going
the
to do it
podcast.
up. Like I have my scrunchie
Yeah,
here, but
yeah,
I want
yeah.
it down. I don't know.
Right.
So what I do, I like to filter when they have pimples. No one wants to see that, you know, and they appreciate that, you know, like little things like that. But I don't like to filter like when people have wrinkles. I feel like that's beautiful.
You leave the wrinkles?
Yeah.
What do you, I don't filter anything.
Yeah.
I never really have. Like, if my client has like a big like zit,
Yeah.
I just post it anyway.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I might put my little, what do you call that thing? My watermark. If I can place my watermark, I don't have time to filter pictures.
Right.
And if I can strategically place like my watermark, like over a pimple or a blemish, then I'll do that. But I've never, ever, photoshopped or filtered a picture. And I don't really like my artists doing that too much in here. I kind of want to be known as a studio where our pictures they're pretty organic.
They're raw.
They're raw. This is what it really looks like. I know a lot of people like filter a lot.
Where it's a little too much.
Sometimes it's way too much, you know? And then sometimes you can definitely tell people are filtering, but they did a very good job. It's not overdone. Right. And I don't judge anybody. I don't judge anybody filtering. I don't judge anybody, period. To each their own. I don't want anybody judging me for not filtering, because there's definitely people out there that feel like, Teryn, you should be filtering your pictures. You should be getting rid of that pimple or smoothing their skin. So I don't want to be judged that I don't. So I don't judge anybody.
I think that's great too, because you give realistic expectations versus you don't want to be the artist where people come in, well, these are your photos, why doesn't it look like this, you know? So that's amazing.
And that can happen. That can certainly happen. So we were talking a little bit about out there. I wanted to ask you this. So you're in your own studio. So you left your mentorship. You've been in your own studio since May, and you mentioned that you're lonely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so lonely.
You're lonely, like in there? Like, so do you go in all day, whether you have appointments or not? Or are you the kind of person you go in right before your appointment and then leave after your appointment? Or do you like
Well, now that I have to pay rent and I appreciate everything my mentor, like the inspection, all that stuff, you know, I appreciate everything now. So this is a learning curve for me. Like, we're out of Q-tips. I got to get Q-tips. Well, there's a 99-cent store, so I just grab some Q-tips and windows. But, I am a little lonely sometimes because I miss sharing stories with my PMU buddies, you know? Like, it's just, it was always something, you know? So I just, sometimes I talk to Alexa.
You talk to Alexa.
Play 90s. I love 90s, the 90s music.
Okay, 90s are all right.
Yeah.
I'm a big 70s.
70s?
I like
very cool.
70s is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like 80s.
Okay.
I like the 90s. I like country. I'm a big country girl.
Are you?
Yeah, oh man, girl. Yeah, I like Tanya Tucker. I like Johnny Cash. I love country. So,
you know what I love? I'm not a big country person, okay? But here's what I love about country. There's always like a story to tell, and like you feel it.
Yeah, there's a story, especially like more vintage country, like more classic country.
Yeah.
Like I'm not digging the new current country.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Like I think country kind of got lost a little bit after the 90s. Like all through the 90s, country was great, right? Shania Twain and just, Garth Brooks and, just all these like great singers. And then I'm just not huge on the current country, but I see them starting to go back a little bit to more classic vintage sounding country. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
So I think you got to keep that stuff alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that old stuff. So, well, geez, Marsha, now that you know us, you can come hang out with us. You get really lonely.
I will.
There's always something going on here.
I know where you're at now.
Yeah, you know where we're at now. Excuse me. So we were talking about some of your favorite procedures and mapping.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. That was one of them. What is it about mapping? Excuse me. What is it about mapping that you like?
It's first when I started mapping, it was really hard. It still is a little challenging to these days, but I just have this personality where I'm very OCD, like this needs to be this way, that way. So at first when I started mapping, I would map sitting up, right? I like to sit them up, sit them down, but this one thing happened where I was mapping and I was super concentrated.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know this girl. Like, it was so weird because she was like, she had like an uptight personality, and I was like, okay, I'll be uptight. Not uptight, but not as goofy or funny or whatever, you know. Can't make jokes around this one. So all of a sudden she goes, like, she started laughing.
Started giggling.
Because, you know, like you're looking at their face, you're this close. I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me mark her. So I sat her down, and that from there it ended up working for me. So I kind of like to kind of sit them up, mark them where I have my points.
So what method? Are you rulers, calipers? What method?
String mapping.
So you're the string method.
I'm a string mapper.
So do you like pre-inked or do you like...
No, I don't like pre-ink.
You don't like pre-ink?
No, just because it gets super messy. I don't like pre-ink because I feel like if you need a kind of, I like to take a little wooden Q-tip to take that out.
Okay.
So I like to kind of like just take like a threading string, and I like to kind of dent the skin, and then from there just kind of gently press. This way it's not too messy, and it
so
doesn't
there's
clear
no
up.
ink because I don't use the string method. So
Yeah, I don't like
really,
the ink string. What do you use?
I mostly freehand. Yeah, most of my career, but I do have rulers.
Okay.
And so if I like when they don't have brow hair,
Okay.
that's the hardest design to get on, right? The symmetry, because there's no guide.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't have brow hair, or if I'm struggling, then I'll get the rulers out. I'll put the ruler on their forehead, and I'll make my, my marks and whatnot to make sure my symmetry's on point. But I would say 90% of the time, I freehand all my brows on. It just comes natural to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was just organic for me. It wasn't something I decided upon. It was just, I remember starting out trying to use calipers, trying to use rulers, and they would mess with me. Like I couldn't get on an eyebrow as symmetrical using tools. So I just put the tools down and I just started freehanding. Mashan, my artist here, she also mostly freehands.
Okay.
Yep. And then the rest of the artists here, they use, either string or, rulers or whatnot. But yeah, so use a string method. So do you have all those? The thing about the string method, Marsha, is like, look at the string, especially when it's someone online and they're using the ink. It's like all those.
No,
my mind. I'm like all those lines.
It's a little distracting. No, I don't like. I've tried the ink before. I've tried the caliper, and it didn't work for me. I think that whatever works for you. Like there are certain ways to PMU where you have to do it a certain way, like how you hold the machine. But whatever works for you, I think that's what's best. Because I tried the ink. I didn't like it.
You didn't like it.
So I always make sure you'll see it with the string. You press it on their skin and you dent it, you'll see it.
Yeah. I think our microblading artist that used to be here a couple years ago, that's how she did it. She would just take string and like push hard, and it would just make the indent. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I think any which way, whatever it takes to get on a beautiful symmetrical brow. Who cares?
Who cares?
It's all about just getting it on there, right?
Yes.
And getting it symmetrical.
Yes.
So who cares what you have to do to do it? So
Absolutely.
right, as long as you can do it. How long?
Oh God! What?
How long does it take you to get your design drawn on? Because you're 4 years in now.
Yeah.
So let's just see where your time is at. So how long?
When I first started, it would take an hour and a half
to draw. Okay. So where are you at now?
And then I got better and then faster. So about a good. If I'm like, okay, these brows are where I want it to be, a good 30 minutes. If it's someone with like old PMU and I kind of have to tweak some things, up to 45. So
okay. So 30 to 45 minutes just drawing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that part is, it's the part where a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
And honestly, to get there, it's not what's written down for you, it's what you feel works best for you.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I think it was like Shay Daniels a few weeks ago put out a post asking, like, and I think she was kind of addressing newbies, like, a year or under, in the industry, what is the one thing like you struggle with the most? And I was scrolling looking at these answers, and it was mapping. And of course there was other things mentioned, but I was kind of taken back by how many people mentioned mapping.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of people really struggle with mapping or drawing, getting the eyebrow drawn on the face symmetrically.
Yeah, because it's also like a thing where okay, this is what I have mapped out. This is right now, but I have to think about what's going to be on you for like the next couple of,
Well, and then once you get it on, the client has to like it. So what do you do? Okay, so it takes me about 10, 15 minutes of drawing to get an eyebrow on.
That's awesome.
But 21 years practice, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm fairly quick nowadays.
Dude.
Yeah. But I can remember when it used to take me an hour. I mean, my goodness, like those days. What's funny about memory is there's a lot of things I don't really remember 20 years ago, but you never forget your PMU days. Your first this, your that, you just don't forget like that stuff, or I don't anyway. So I clearly remember first drawing bad eyebrows. I remember struggling. I remember it taking me, 30 minutes up to an hour sometimes. And it would take me up to an hour on people that were just either really super picky or just really, like they weren't symmetrical from side to side, or they had no hair. So I remember that. What do you do if you spend that 30, 40 minutes designing and then you have the client look and they don't like it? I mean, it's crushing, right? We're like, do you show them along the way? Do you let them have a mirror? Let me ask you that. Do you let your client have a mirror and kind of watch you as you design?
I do. Not as I design. I take the mirror away from them.
Good girl.
I make sure there's no mirror.
Yeah.
But like a compact mirror in my purse, and they can't touch my purse. So the only mirror I have is like the whole like vintage mirror by my door. But handheld mirrors are only given after I'm done designing.
Okay, perfect. That's
Is
the
that
rule.
bad?
No, that's the rule in here.
Yeah.
That's the rule in here. You don't get to look until I'm completely done.
Yeah. Because they nitpick at everything. And it's like, dude, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of like building a house. You have a foundation, you have your cement, you have your steel. You can't.
Exactly. Exactly. So we do the same thing in here. We get it on best we can till we think it looks great, and then we show them.
Good.
And then, half the people are like, oh my God, I love it. And then out of the other 50%, they have a few little minor tweaks or adjustments they point out and want to make, no big deal. But then, there's that client that, super, I mean, it's almost like sometimes you just feel you cannot please somebody. You can't get a brow on somebody that's going to be accepting to them. Have you had that?
Yeah. I mean, this was actually kind of crushing because ever since 2017, I don't know if I had like really nice girls or really easygoing girls or just a okay pair of set of eyebrows where it doesn't take like a whole world to map. But actually last week my heart was a little broken because, I love what I do. And if there's someone that says, every time you draw, it's the most heartbreaking thing because you're really into it and you want to give them the best shape and make them happy.
Yeah.
She had one brow, like she had them done. She had one brow going down this way and I could see the old work and another brow kind of flicking out to the side.
So her tails were like...
One tail was lifted and one was like downward.
Gotcha.
One was happy, one was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I as an artist, like I took into consideration, okay, don't make these too thick, but also kind of even them out where it doesn't look like she has like 5 tails or 4 tails. So that's what as an artist, that's how I think. So I showed her and she's like, oh, no. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, this is happening right now.
Yeah.
So and it took a couple of, me a little concealers for me to kind of scrape out the edges to what she wants. And I said, okay, I normally don't do this. I normally don't let my clients take over the shape, but here's the wax pencil. Show me what you want.
Yeah. I've done that. I've done that before. Yeah. If you just can't get it, I'll give them the pencil and I'm like, I'm not getting what you want. You're not liking what I'm doing. Just draw it on for me. And then I'll go right behind you and, clean it up, make sure it's and sometimes that works. But then what if they take their pencil and they draw something that you find really unattractive and you really don't want to tattoo that on their face? I mean, I know how I feel about that. So if it ends up being an eyebrow that is, you find that is not attractive, it is just way too thick or way too close together, or, you know, whatever it may be, will you still do it? Because you're 4 years in, so you're probably still building your clientele in your book, right? We have bills to pay,
right.
Do you still do it, or do you have, or will you let the client go? Because, and there's no right or wrong answer to this. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this at all.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of personal, and you know, I just get curious on what other people's boundaries are.
Well, for me, when that happened, and I guess this is the best answer, how I felt at the time was, a part of me was like, if I convince her, like, that'll help me with my rent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought about, that's not the kind of artist I am. Like, I get it, because it's your face, it's her face, and it's her crowning glory besides, you know, just your face, you know. So
but that's an honest answer. I think a lot of people.
Yeah. So it's something, when that happened, I said, you know, it's not worth the money. That's not the kind of name I want to put on her face, because that's my name on her face. So at the end of the day, I said, you know what, we were there 2 hours, and that's a long time. I said, we've been here almost 2 hours, and
drawing.
Yeah. So I'm like, I respect where you want to go, but at the same time, because you have old work done that it's really conflicting with what you currently have, I want you to go home and sit back and think about it.
Yeah. So did you bring her in for a consultation first?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that still happened even at the appointment. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have way more patience than me, because there's no way. Well, at least now. There's maybe 20 years ago I would have. And I did.
Yeah.
But now I would never, like, sit for 2 hours just trying to please somebody. Yeah. I just don't have that patience anymore. Yeah. But I understand, as a young artist, you do have that patience.
And you know, what I realize is, you can't please everyone. There's going to come that time where, you know, and for a second there, I doubted myself. For a second there, everything I worked so hard on was down the drain because someone didn't like what I did.
Right. Yeah.
But I said, you know what?
But that's going to happen a lot.
Yeah.
A lot in your career. It is. And it just is. You're gonna, well, I don't know if this has happened yet, but this is going to happen, is, you know, someone will come in, you'll draw a pretty eyebrow, they approve it, you tattoo it on them, they love it, and then the next day you get a text.
Oh,
it's too thick.
I hate those.
I mean, you know, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I just, you know, and it sucks, you know, because it messes with our mind and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it does, because you're so passionate about what you do, and with passion comes making people happy, because their reflection of happiness is your work, and that's a big thing to you as an artist, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I'll compromise. It doesn't have to be my way, but I can't, and I've never been able to do anything that I find super unattractive. I just can't do it. Like, I can't do it. But I can compromise. I may think the eyebrows should be a little closer together. I may think they should be a little bit thinner. My own personal taste. So I'll compromise. I'll do brows that I think are a little bit too thick, or brows that are a little too this or that. As long as I look at them, I'm just like, yeah, they're still good. They're not what I would do if I had my own way. So I think I'm a good compromiser. But yeah, if it's something I find unattractive, I just can't get myself to do it.
So I gotta ask you, you know how like brow trends are always changing?
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing this like 4 years, whatever. So
Right.
I plucked my brows a lot in the 90s, so they never came back. Anyway, long story short, because you've been doing brows for 20, how long?
21 years.
Dude.
This month, September, 21
That's
years.
so amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this month. Wow.
Do you think that, because you know how like thick brows are in, do you think that's gonna we're gonna go through a hula, like?
You know, when I first started, it was skinny brows. So I've seen lots of trends come and go, and then circle back around.
Yeah.
So I do. I think the thick brows, I think they're going to, they'll run their course and then it'll be a thinner brow or a new style.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the cycle of life, I think, even with fashion, eyebrow styles, hairstyles.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like bell bottoms, right? They were popular.
I love bell bottoms.
Yeah, right. They were popular in the 70s, right? 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
and then they, in the 80s, not style. But then they came back in the 90s, and then they went out of style. But bell bottoms are kind of back again.
Oh.
Yeah, my wife was just telling me that, because she's on all this fashion stuff. So she was like, bell bottoms are like starting to come back again. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I think trends come and go for sure. And you'll see them circle back around again. I like all the trends, but I think that's why it's important, to learn, the classic powder brow, like fundamental.
Those are pretty.
Yeah, because those really never go out of style.
Yeah.
And the big question right now is the ombre brow going to go out of style?
Yeah.
Because it's ombre, ombre, ombre. But a couple years ago, it was like deep ombre. Like the ombre started like way back here. And I don't really see that too much anymore. So it'll be interesting to see, what starts to fade out of style, what comes back into style. It's always exciting for me. I think it's fun. And it keeps our jobs really super interesting and something new to learn, right? Because when a new trend hits, we all want to learn it, so we can offer it to our clients. So yeah. And let me put my glasses on. Okay, so I was just going to make a comment. I do have a friend. So you're a compromiser, like I'm a compromiser. Some people are like super picky, right? They're just, or it's got to be their way. It's got to be the brow they want, or they won't do it. The client can leave. And then on the flip side, I have a friend who will put anything. She doesn't care. Whatever they come in, whatever they want, whatever they request, she will put on them. And she did a lecture at a PMU conference quite a few years back on that topic, and she showcased all these crazy brows that she's tattooed.
Okay.
I personally couldn't do it, but I'll tell you what, it was an interesting lecture. I think everybody enjoyed. Not that everybody would do that, but I think everybody found it really super interesting looking at all these crazy shaped eyebrows and requests that she gladly gave them. So, it takes all kinds in our career. There's lots of different personalities and things going on, right?
Yeah, about her personalities, don't you meet like different, like all these personalities, you know?
For sure.
You kind of become their therapist sometimes because they open up so much.
Yeah. And I don't really want to be anybody's like therapist, to be honest with you. Like, I need therapy myself. Yeah. So, but I am a good therapist because I'm a good listener and whatnot. Yeah. And for me, they always ask, if they don't know that I'm gay, then, I get the question like, well, are you married? And I'll say, yeah. And then they'll say, oh, well, what's his name? And, I'm like, her name's Kat. And then that usually opens up all kinds of dialogue and conversation, especially with my older clientele, my clients that are in their 60s and 70s. Which is really fun. So I end up with some really great conversations. You know what I found? I found like my older clients, they like to talk about sex.
Dude, me too. Why is that?
I think, maybe because a lot of their friends aren't having it. Maybe they're the only ones in their circle, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of women, when we get older, or when when women get older, a lot of women, not all women, they lose their sex drive, right? It's not uncommon. So maybe, like if you got a 74-year-old client and they come in, so they start talking, maybe they're the only one in their circle of friends that still digging sex.
Yeah, a lot of them are not a lot of them, but you're right about that. The older
they like to talk about sex.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I had this lady, I don't know where she came from, but we were having a good conversation and we were talking, sex came up, right? So I was like, okay, sex, everyone does it,
Yeah.
She said something like, well, this is what she said. She goes, she likes the curved ding dong. And I'm like, what? So I didn't know what to say back, but it was so like intimate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like, I probably would have been, oh my God. That would have made me blush.
Yeah.
Like I'm the type of person, like I can totally talk sex with my clients, but I don't get graphic.
Yeah.
Like when people get graphic, I start to get a little uncomfortable unless it's like my bestie.
Yeah.
You know, but like clients, and I've had a couple clients get graphic before, and I'm like, ugh.
Because also too, like it's like I'm a pretty open person. Like I'll talk about it, but at the same time, in the back of my head, like as a new artist, like I want to start a foundation where I have my way and I'm professional. You know what I mean?
And that's the key right there. So if things start getting a little bit graphic or a little bit off colored, immediately. Like I nip that in the bud because there's a fine line. There, to me, there's a fine line with, what you talk about with a client, what you don't talk about. And I think it's fun to talk about if the client brings it up and they, as long as it's cute and it stays within the boundaries of, yeah. But some people will try to get a little graphic. And that's where I draw the line. I don't want any part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. But, hey, to each their own. I just turn my music up or something if they
There
start.
You go. Alexa. Do you have Alexa or Google?
Yeah. No, I don't have Alexa. I have Spotify in here.
Oh, Spotify's good.
Yeah. Back in the day, I used to do a lot of exotic dancers. And so some of their conversations could get a little, off color. Yeah. And it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you do want to maintain professionalism, but you want to have fun with your client, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's that balance.
It is.
But I do find the older ladies... I have never had an older lady get off color or be graphic. Usually my conversations about sex with them are really cute and they're really fun and I enjoy them. And I really, really love it. And I think it's really, really cute and adorable. And for whatever reason, they feel really safe with me. But
Aww, that's awesome.
So we probably have time to talk about like one more thing.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about touch-ups because this is a big topic, right? This is a big topic. It's a big conversation that pops up on in Facebook like a lot, like on the groups. And so scenario.
Okay.
Let me play out a scenario. So you get a phone call and client, she had her brows done somewhere else and she just wants a touch-up. And they expect a touch-up fee. How do you feel about you didn't do the work? How do you feel about that? Do you get those kind of calls?
It's like a love and hate for me as a new artist because my clientele's still building up. I'm like, ding, new client. I'm like, yes, but it's not my work. But at the same time, you're putting just as much effort or even more because you're trying to cover up, color correct. I tell them like, this is what I charge and, but it's such a sensitive topic because it's someone else's work and, you're touching up your touch-up. You know what I mean? So I like to say my first session is this. And and as I hate to be like, oh, well, that's income loss. Like I said, I want to like set my ground right now as I grow,
Well, we're not just artists. We are businesswomen, right?
Yeah.
And we have to earn money. That's a given. Yeah. So do you charge like one fee for a new eyebrow and then a separate fee if they have to come back or for a follow-up? Or do you charge one fee and it includes a follow-up or two follow-ups? How do you do that?
So I like to do like if I'm doing just like the microblading strokes, I'm pretty faster at microblading.
Okay.
So I charge $400 for the first touch-up. Right?
Yeah.
I like to like split it up.
For a touch-up?
Oh, no, for a touch-up. I'm sorry, for the first session.
So for the first session, you charge like $400?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and if I start doing the machine work, just because I feel like I'm more OCD with that and I have more detail into that, I charge $450.
Okay.
And then their touch-ups, whether it's microblading or powder brows, I charge $150, 6 to 8 weeks.
No, I think that's great. So because we charge separate fees for touch-ups too. I don't lump it all together.
Yeah.
So we charge an upfront fee for
Mm-hmm.
their very first brow. And then 6 weeks later, if they need a follow-up.
Right.
Not everybody does. But if they do, then we charge a separate fee for the follow-up. I think more and more PMU artists are starting to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great option too for also people coming in as touch-ups from other places or as
Yeah.
someone else doing their brows, because listen, this is what you're going to get for your first session, because it's the same thing I would do with you as a new coming client, probably even more with your old
Right.
work. But if you feel like you need to come in for a touch-up, you're more than welcome to.
Right.
You know, because this
Right.
is your touch-up.
Yeah.
So
Well, for me personally, I never understood why the industry, and when I started in the industry 20 years ago, I mean, it was just everybody just did free touch-ups, and I couldn't understand it. I mean, your hairdresser doesn't charge you. I mean, it doesn't do free like root touch-ups. And when
No.
you go to your nail lady
Yeah.
to fill in to do your
Right.
fills, you know, I mean, those aren't free. So I just never did free touch-ups. I know it makes sense to some artists to include it, and that's totally fine for their business motto and the way they work. That works for them. For me, it didn't work. It just never felt right for me. So my entire career, I always charged fee for new procedure,
Okay.
separate fees if
Okay.
they need follow-ups. I've just always done that.
what do you do if they like argue about it, like, well, why is it not a touch-up price? Because you're always going to get that.
You mean someone else's work?
Yeah.
We get that all the time. So they'll call or email and they'll want to come in and we'll say, yeah, it's $500. We charge $500 for a powder brow or an ombre brow. And they'll say, well, it's just a touch up. And we did not, and I'll say, well, it's not a touch up. We didn't do your original work.
Right.
I said, if you go back to your original artist, it may
Yeah.
be considered a touch up with your original artist. But for us, it is not a touch up.
Do you notice sometimes I get a little offended? Go back to your artist.
Yeah, sometimes they get a little offended. Sometimes
Yeah.
they hang up, and then some people understand it.
Right.
You know, and if they get offended, you know, I didn't mean to offend them, but that's just our policy. It's the way we work in here. And they can surely, you know, call other studios and call other places but no, if you've never been here before and you got someone else's work on your face, when you come in, it's a brand new appointment to us. So we charge you a brand new procedure fee. And we don't really wiggle on that.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of times they don't understand. Sometimes it can be even more work, right? Because we're dealing with a color that's already there. And sometimes the client doesn't see that it's bluish or grayish. They don't see what we see.
They don't.
You know,
Isn't that crazy?
It is kind
They're
of
like, what? It's green?
yeah, you get that all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then I always explain to them, you know, now once you're my client, then there's follow-up fees and refresh fees, maintenance fees. I said, but your first procedure in here is, you know, this is what it costs.
And
So
like, that's kind of a thing where is it like an ongoing thing? No, I need a touch up. Like how long is that going to last? And it really pisses me off.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. So, you know, it's just touch-ups, I think, are a lot of people's, you know, nemesis. I mean, they have a hard time with touch-ups. You know, my artist Amber, she just opened up her own studio a few months ago. We were just talking about that, like, you know, all the touch-ups, you know, like she's just not having room in her book for all these, you know, these touch-ups. So I was like, designate a couple days out of the month where that's all you do, you know. So when you consult with somebody, tell them, and you know, these are the days that I do my touch-ups.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
that's probably a good way to manage your book. Because some people, they want to, you know, it could be 2 or 3 touch-ups, you know, in their mind.
Yeah.
Or they come back for a tiny little dot or, you know, whatever. Yeah, some people are super picky, you know, super picky, and you know, and they strive for perfection. And so they might be a little bit more apt to schedule a second touch-up or a third touch-up. There's clients like that, do you know? Like they get in with their magnifying mirror.
How do they do that? Like,
Yeah.
what is in your brain?
Yeah, and they look. Maybe they have OCD or something like that,
Yeah.
or they focus on themselves. So you know, we're really understanding, but you know, you also got to kind of manage that. It's up to us to manage client expectations, to manage that sort of thing. I feel, right? And if you're touching up too much, you can cause some permanent, scar tissue or affect the integrity of the skin. So it's up to us to manage that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, and you kind of have to set your foot down as an artist,
Yeah.
And it's kind of, honestly, it's kind of a hard thing to do as a new artist, because it's kind of like, okay, gimme. But
right.
I kind of said to myself, I'm going to put a stamp where I'm like, this is what I want to do. I have to be solid. It's not worth the money, because down the road, I don't want people to say, well, you charge this girl this much. Why is it this much? I don't want that coming back on me.
Yeah. You keep a pretty set price, and
I do.
You don't discount.
I don't.
Wheel and deal and set discounts.
No. When I first started, yes, but now that I, felt like, okay, got my rhythm, I'm better than I was since 2017. I'm like, that's it. Like, I have to, like, set my foot down, like, this is what I love to do, and with passion, but it's not something that I should compromise with someone else's pocket because of what I work so hard for.
Well, it's good that you're already setting those boundaries, because I think that's also like really hard for newbie. Not that you're like a newbie at 4 years in, but you're still fairly young.
Yes, I'm still figuring everything out.
Yeah.
What kind of needles do I have to ask you? Like what?
For I use all kinds of needles.
Do you?
I use all kinds of needles. Yeah, I'm a needle girl. I love all kinds of needles. But setting boundaries, I think that is, don't you think, Olivia? Saying no, setting boundaries, what you'll accept, what you won't accept.
Yeah.
I think new artists really, really struggle with that. Yeah. So I'm glad you're setting those boundaries. Mm-hmm. But as far as needles, I'm a big needle girl. I like 8 shaders, and I know you use the single.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always used a single needle, but for a minute there, I'm like, damn, this is taking too long. So I was like, there has to be a way. So I started doing 3-round shaders.
So how long does it take you to do an eyebrow? Don't lie. Don't lie.
I don't know, but every time I'm done, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Okay, so when I first started.
So if you start at breakfast, by lunch, you're just finishing up.
So it takes me, mapping, numbing takes me 4 hours.
So from start to finish 4 hours, or 4 hours tattoo time with the single needle?
Start to finish 4 hours.
Start to finish 4 hours. Yeah. So that's
a long time.
That's a long time, but for some, no.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, there's people right now watching this podcast that they're probably taking 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily like a bad thing or anything to be ashamed of, I don't think. I'd probably shoot myself if it was taking me 4 hours. But I remember, though, back in the day, it taking me a long time. But now, I'm an hour and a half from filling out their paperwork, numbing, drawing, tattooing, going over their aftercare. They're in and out in about an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes.
Dude, that's so good.
Yeah. And then I like 30 minutes in between my next appointment.
That's amazing.
So, I schedule brows and eyeliners 2-hour slots. 2-hour slots.
That's goals.
Yeah. But it took me a long time, years.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 or 8 years to get to, that level of efficiency. And I think it's all just efficiency, right? Once you figure out your secret sauce.
Because the little things, like you're sitting this way, you're moving that way, you're grabbing, it all adds up, And I think down the road, like that's where I want to be, where I'm faster. Like right now, it's not so much about speed for me. It's about like how pretty it looks at the end. Like everything's done, and that's I'm trying to find ways where I'm gonna work faster. Maybe 3RS, 5RS, 7RS. Like I've like shaders, magnums. I'll work into that down the road. Yeah. Because I feel like that's too much for me right now. But I would love to. Yeah. Because I hear magnums are very like, dude, they go on like butter. They go on super quick. You know?
I use mags, big mags, 11 mags for all my lips and all my areolas.
Okay.
But I don't like a mag for an eyebrow. I just don't. I like a round configuration for my eyebrows, so I like the 8 shaders. So I like the 8 shaders. But I get a single needle. Look, I got friends that use the single needles, and a couple really good friends that use the single needle. So so I got the single needle in my hand, and I'm pretty good with that. Yeah. So sometimes like on that perfect skin, I'll get out a single needle and I'll like whip out like a bulb. and get that ombre look. But most of my clients, they pick me because I do the classic powder brow. You know, clients tend to get, or the public tend to get a sense of what your niche is, what your specialty is. And my specialty is, you know, that classic powder brow, which looks good on everybody. It's great for any skin type. So that's the request that I get a lot. And but I just had a girl in here last Saturday, and I got to do an ombre brow on her, which was super fun. So yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, it's not, and you're right. It's not, I don't think you should be so focused on speed while you're working out all the other stuff, mapping, getting on a symmetrical brow, tattooing on a symmetrical brow, your depth, your saturation. All that stuff is way more important than speed.
Yeah.
But once all that stuff comes together, right? And now you have your kind of your secret sauce. You know your needle, what needle works best for you. You know your stretch. You know this. You know that. Then I think it's important to work on efficiency.
Yes.
Like being efficient, not wasting time.
Not wasting time.
Yeah. And then once you start implementing that, then your speed, your speed, you just get faster.
I can't wait till like I get to that like your level at that. I look an hour and 30. This is how like far away I am from your hour and 30. I have snacks in case I get hungry. I got Cheez-Its, Triscuits.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, no, that's super cute. You'll get there. And the thing is, if you never do and you're always 4 hours, you know, you just got long. You're gonna have to charge more.
Yeah. And this is what I do too, like just to save my ass. Like I'll be like, okay, like they'll book online, right? And then they have their email.
Right.
I'll send out an email of everything, like what not to do, like blood thinners, coffee, all that.
That's good.
And then I'll be like, it normally takes about 4 hours around, and I explain to them on email, this is what it's going to take,
right?
You know, and they're cool with that, you know? So they go in knowing that they have to bring in a blankie, bring in
a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yes.
We'll take a lunch break.
Yes.
No, I had an artist here that took a long time, and she would literally leave an appointment to come eat a sandwich. That's how long she took. Yeah. And, you know, I never got on her butt about it. You know, look, every artist is different, right? We all move at our own pace, our own unique ways. For me, it's about the end result. That's what's most important.
Yes.
Yeah. But, you know, if you hate that it's taking you 4 hours, then, you know, start looking at little things, becoming a little bit more efficient here, a little more efficient there, you know? Yeah. But I wouldn't focus on it too much.
Yeah. And like you said, it'll come with time and I'll get faster, better.
Yeah. Some people, you know, look, I have a friend that likes to only book one client a day, and it does take her, you know, 3 or 4 hours, and that's enough for her.
Yeah.
You know, she's got a husband who also works, so she doesn't have to, you know, slam her day with appointments. She only has to earn, you know, a certain amount of money because she has a husband. So, you know, some people have that luxury too. And then other people are single moms and they've got to pack as much as they can in a day, you know, because they're the sole, you know, provider. So I think it depends on your situation too.
So, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So numbing, because I'm kind of like this. I'm like, I'll be microblading or doing the powder brows, but I'm like so caring. So I'll be like, are you okay?
No, I never ask if they're okay.
Oh yeah? Okay.
No, I numb them one.
Everything okay?
Yeah. On an eyeliner, I'll ask.
Okay.
Are you doing all right? But on brows, no. I really don't. I don't like a lot of chit chatter when I'm working.
It slows you down.
It slows me down.
That's where my problem is too, because I'll be like, oh, where you from? You walk today?
Yeah,
Things like that, you know?
No, I don't like a lot of chit chatter.
Okay.
I'm super focused. I'm super efficient.
Yeah.
I get distracted. I mean, I'll chit chat. I think the numbing time, when they're sitting there numbing for 20 minutes, that's a great time to connect with your client, and get comfortable with them and chit chat.
Okay.
But once the procedure starts, I don't like a lot of talking.
Okay.
You know, so that's just me though.
No, I think that's really good because it goes by faster.
It goes by fast.
It does take, because like when they're talking, their muscles are moving and you kind of have
face
to wait
moves
till they're like relaxed, you know. Like
especially like eyeliner. Like they cannot, like when I'm doing an eyeliner, no, they can't talk. Eyes stay closed. They have to stay still because, you know, I mean, that's really, really intricate work, and you don't want them blinking or moving or making facial expressions. So, Yeah. So no, I'm kind of controlling in my room like that, and I give them really strict instructions. So it's just
Yeah.
me. And I got there because of things going wrong, because of allowing too much talk and
Yeah.
this, that, and the other.
I think because I'm very I like to learn a lot of things. So I started with microblading and then all these other things, with PMU. And I'm also an esthetician, so other things too. But this something about eyeliner, and I think a lot of artists feel this way where it makes me kind of cringe.
Yeah. I
So-
think it makes everybody
Yeah.
cringe, but I love it.
So I told my mentor, I'm like, look, I'm going to get you this client because she asked me if I do eyeliner. I said no, but my mentor does. So she came in and I said, can I watch? She goes, yeah. I was like, I can't fucking do this. This
Yeah.
is so eventually I want to learn, but something about it, Teryn, is just very it's by the eyeball, the needle.
I think that's why there's a lot of amazing brow artists, and like Neezy Baby, she was here and she doesn't do eyeliner, and I'm like, you should do it because she's so talented.
Yeah.
I see a lot of brow artists that are so talented and they don't do eyeliner. And I bet you dollars to donuts they would do amazing eyeliner, but the eye area just freaks them out. But it's just like anything else. I mean, they were probably freaked out when they started brows. Look at them now; they do amazing brows. So now they're freaked out with eyeliner.
And the reason why I asked her is because it always comes back. Like I'll have the lady on my chair, do you do eyeliner? And I'm like seriously, 3 times out of 5 they will ask me if I do eyeliner.
And that's why, I think it's good to learn because, once you do look, brows are our number one procedure here in the studio. Brows have always been my number one procedure, but eyeliner is a very, very close second. And I can't tell you how many clients, brand new clients, double book. They book their brows and their eyeliners at the same time. We give them a slight discount to do that.
Okay.
But we do a ton of eyeliners. And I think that not all, but most or a big percentage of clients, once they get their eyebrows done with an artist and they came out beautiful, a big, huge percent of them now inquire about the eyeliner.
They have your trust.
Yeah. So if you're not doing eyeliner, like you're missing out on a lot of work.
And I feel like to have that title, and I'm saying this because to have that title as a permanent makeup artist and not to do eyeliner, it's kind of like, makes me think. But it's not for everyone, like you said.
No, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, but for me personally, because I have the title permanent makeup artist, it's like, I should learn that.
Yeah. So put it on your...
It's scary though.
Put it on your bucket list.
Yes, I will.
All right. All right. So, hey, I want to thank you. Did you have fun?
Oh my God, I had so much fun.
You did? Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
I got
good.
to see your studio. So nice.
Yeah. My little podcast room.
I know. Have you always liked pink? Was pink like your
Pink and
color?
black, even when I was a little tomboy kid. Pink and
That's
black.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've always liked it. So, hence the logo. The logo
Did
colors.
you make this logo?
Yeah, I drew her many
you
years
did?
ago. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. That's
So
my girl. I call her
cool.
Lucy. Did you know that, Olivia? I call her Lucy.
I didn't know
I don't
that.
know why, but that's Lucy.
Hi,
I don't know.
Lucy.
I know. It's crazy. So, hey, thanks for coming down. I know I
course.
just asked you this week, and
Yeah.
you arranged your schedule, and you came down to do this with me, and I really appreciate
I
it.
appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You'll come back?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I had a ball talking to you.
I did.
You're
I
cute
did
as
too.
hell.
Yeah.
And eyeliner.
Yes.
Learn eyeliner.
Eyeliner. Bucket
All right.
list.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for this episode of Tatter-a-fact. Happy tattooing, everybody, and we will see you next time.